Good morning, everyone. I mean, unless you're not watching this in the morning, I am going to be mourning the loss of David Lynch with a damn fine cup of black coffee. Except it's not black coffee. I did put some creamer in it because I can't drink my coffee black, but the sentiment still stands. Also, I was going to shave my beard before making this video, but then I was like, well, I'm talking about Wolfman, so may as well keep it while I look like somewhat of a Wolfman. Oh, that's too hot. Too hot still. Anyway, why don't we talk about Wolfman? Leigh Whannell's Wolfman arrives with a pedigree and a premise that seems poised for reinvention. Following his acclaimed reinterpretation of The Invisible Man, Whannell appeared to be leading a new wave of modernized universal monster movies, an elevated genre-bending approach to these classic tales. Right off the bat, I'll say, unfortunately, Wolfman doesn't quite live up to that potential, and it ends up spinning its wheels in ways that undermine its intriguing setup. At its core, Wolfman tells the story of Blake, played by Christopher Abbott, a father grappling with the scars of his own abusive upbringing. After learning of his estranged father's death, Blake brings his wife Charlotte, played by Julia Garner, and their daughter Ginger to his childhood home in Oregon to settle the estate. Their journey takes a harrowing turn when they encounter a feral creature in the woods. Blake is injured, and as he begins to transform into something monstrous, the film shifts focus to the psychological and physical toll his metamorphosis takes on him and his family. On paper, this premise has everything: a generational trauma, body horror, and a familial bond that is tested by supernatural forces. And yet, the execution falters a little bit. While Whannell leans into slow burn tension and mood, Wolfman often feels overly preoccupied with its operatic score and repetitive structure and techniques. The overuse of some of these techniques, like the quasi-infrared night vision or drawn-out scenes of characters drifting or hobbling through shadowy spaces with a string-heavy score, dampens their impact after a while. The film oddly feels frustratingly cyclical after a while, like characters flee the house and then retreat back and then repeat that pattern as if they're sort of running in place. And this claustrophobic setup, while effective at first, quickly loses its potency and begins to kind of drag, which is a weird thing to say about somewhat of a short movie. As alluded to before, one of the film's more inventive elements is the depiction of Blake's transformation from his perspective. Through distorted audio, quasi-infrared night vision, and garbled dialogue, the audience experiences his sensory confusion in real time. And while this is initially a pretty neat trick, this technique becomes a bit overused, losing its impact as the film progresses. Similarly, while the body horror is unsettling and effective in moments, it often feels like it pulls its punches quite a bit, never fully committing to the grotesque potential of Blake's metamorphosis. And I know these films were probably made in tandem with one another, so it's not like one could influence the other, but after seeing, for lack of a better term, the overwhelming potential of body horror in something like The Substance, it makes me wonder, where was all that crackling bloodiness in Wolfman? It also makes me wonder if the success of something like The Substance will lead to more filmmakers and people pushing the boundaries when it comes to the body horror genre, something that seems so obvious for a film like The Wolfman to attempt to do. Instead, I'm curious if the modern urge to quote-unquote elevate these creature features or horror films in general is steering some filmmakers away from the source of the joy that these stories have brought us over the years. Like, to put it bluntly, am I here to watch someone's therapy session or to be scared? I do feel like all of the best horror movies exist somewhere in the middle of those two things, and in the case of Wolfman, I certainly felt the former more than I felt the latter. The performances in this movie are all a bit of a mixed bag. Christopher Abbott, an actor who has been on my radar for a long time, ever since watching him, I think, in that Catch-22 miniseries, which I loved, highly recommend it, he delivers a compelling turn as a man torn between protecting his family and succumbing to his growing animal instincts. Julia Garner does her best with what appears to be a little bit of a thinly written role, in my opinion. While the young actress who plays Ginger struggles with the weight of her material, I don't ever want to be the person who judges a child actor's performance. What I will do is judge the filmmakers behind the performance for maybe highlighting it to the degree that they do. I think she does well enough with the material that she's given, but it is not the strongest part of the movie. There's this father-daughter bond that really does appear to be pretty special in the first part of the movie, and it's built around this little game that they play of this sort of like psychic bond that they have, this what am I thinking thing. It provides a poignant through line, but it's undercut by dialogue that could feel kind of heavy-handed and a little bit overly sentimental. And I'm not above overly sentimental things. I just think for some reason in this movie, it's not working. And maybe I need to think about it a little bit more to figure out what it is about it that isn't working. Now, all of this is to say that thematically, Wolfman is aiming high, exploring themes of becoming one's parent. Blake's transformation into this monster mirrors his dread of embodying his father's abusive traits, and the film's underlying message, if I ever become my father, just shoot me, is undeniably powerful. However, the narrative doesn't ever really fully integrate this theme with the horror elements, leaving the story feeling kind of disjointed. Rather than presenting a duality between man and beast, as all of the best Wolfman and werewolf stories tend to do, the film offers a protagonist who comes off more zombie-like than wolf-like by the end, sacrificing the moral and psychological complexity that defines a character like this. And on that note, the creature design encapsulates the film's broader inconsistencies for me. On one hand, it's an ambitious update to the classic 1941 Wolfman. It's leprous and grotesque, yet recognizable. On the other hand, its appearance lacks the visceral terror and awe that's needed to anchor the film's climactic moments, and it also, not gonna lie, comes across a bit silly. Honestly, just to put it incredibly bluntly, I wanted him to look more like a wolf. Like much of Wolfman, the creature design feels caught between honoring the past and carving a new, modern, ultra-realistic path, ultimately achieving neither. Wolfman is not without its merits. I want to make that clear. Whannell's atmospheric direction creates moments of dread, and the film's exploration of generational trauma offers a fresh thematic lens for the universal monster canon. But these strengths are undermined by uneven pacing, underdeveloped characters, and honestly, a lack of genuine scares. The film promises reinvention, but delivers something that feels almost half-formed. Like, to put it in terms of turning into a Wolfman, it's a slow transformation that never fully evolves. For all of its ambition, I left the movie underwhelmed, but not entirely unentertained. And I do actually think that if you've got time to kill and you want to put on a nice creature feature, you could do far worse than this one, which I know to a lot of you is not glowing praise, and it isn't, but this movie is certainly still worth your time. Yeah, that's going to do it for me. Thank you all for watching this one. Go check out Wolfman. Let me know if you have seen it already, what you thought of the movie in the comments. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and go ahead and share this channel, share this video. I am recently kind of trying to grow the channel as best I can. It's a slow process. I understand that. I'm in no rush to do any of that. But if you are liking what I'm doing, go ahead and subscribe and go ahead and share this channel with whoever you think might like it. And yeah, that's going to do it for me. I'll see you all on the next one.